Anyway, so we'll get through. We'll just go all over the place today.
We've got a lot to cover.
We got a lot to cover. But the Canada thing is very interesting, obviously, because you said like you're from there too. You've been pulling on this thread for a while. But last time when you were on episode 264 with me in the fall, well, I mean, we didn't put that out till January, but you told me about the time where you went into the fentanyl lab in Canada with a fixer. Yeah. So we went through that story. Refresh people on that, and then I want to know what you've kind of uncovered since then.
Okay, so last summer, I had a source who's a Sinaloa Cartel associate operating in Canada. Now, it's really important to keep in mind that for the longest time, Canada didn't have a strict visa requirement the way the U.S. did for Mexican nationals looking to just go into Canada on tourist visas. They didn't have to go through like an application process with payment. It was super simple. And so during Trump's first administration, the southern border started to kind of get locked down. And because it was so easy for these guys to get to Canada, they were like, all right, let's switch up how we're running operations. We can't take advantage of the southern border in the same way we once were. So let's go to the northern border. The Canadian border is one of the longest unprotected borders in the world. It's more than 5,000 miles. Right. And the American border is like a little bit over 2,000 miles. And you guys have a wall and just a lot of... Kind of, yeah. And there's and that that also doesn't stop smuggling, because literally just a few weeks ago, this super state-of-the-art underground tunnel was found in El Paso, Juarez, that was smuggling a ton of drugs and people.
Can we pull that up?
You probably can. Yeah, this just happened a few weeks ago, actually.
Interessante. Okay.
And so, basically, but the point of this is that the Canadian border is massive and it's largely unprotected. There are certainly some tech in place that, like thermal technology, whatever. There's CBP that are monitoring.
Like drones and stuff too?
Or?
No.
They don't have drones. Wow. And so this was going under the radar for so long, I would say since like 2016. And so then they moved operations up there, the cartels. They started to network with local Canadian criminal organizations and basically told them, look, we're here now. We have direct connections to the Chinese groups supplying the precursors. There are organized crime groups in Canada that are of predominantly Chinese heritage. So let's band together, up our profits, and up our global networks and our abilities to smuggle into the United States. So last summer, I get in touch with someone who's doing just that and has been for a couple of years, and basically told me that, you know, he's a little bit worried just because they're upping pill production, and that starts to draw a lot of attention. And we'll see that in a lot of like the seizures, whether that be in Canada or the US. Fentanyl pill seizures is like a big...
Fentanyl pills?
Yeah. It's like a big deal because it's worth a lot of money. It's really efficient to traffic because you can just put these pills in a bunch of bags, you know, cover them up, lightweight, whatever you want to call it. It's not like trafficking a AK-47. A little harder to hide that up your ass. So they're not putting it up their ass. It's just, I'm just being facetious. But essentially, they moved into Canada. They started networking with local organized crime groups and started trafficking it into the U.S. through this largely unprotected border.
Dumb question.
Go ahead.
Stop you, but like when you say local organized crime groups in Canada, what does that look like?
The United Nations, Brothers Keepers, Hell's Angels, Red Scorpion. Those are.
You said the United Nations first?
It's called not the actual United. It's a gang called. Come on, get a clue, Julian.
Sorry.
Yeah, you just got all the delegates there sitting at the round table, decorum. Like, no.
I just think of Canada and it's like hockey and beer, and I can't picture like what their
and that's exactly part of
like.
the problem, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think of Canada and all you think about is hockey, beer, and what's like, thank you, sorry, hey. Then you don't think that a lot of fentanyl is being produced in Canada. Precursors are being trafficked into Canada, and then the fentanyl that's being produced there is being trafficked into the U.S.
Good cover.
And the numbers don't reflect that, because the numbers on both sides of the border are saying that less than 1% of the fentanyl in the United States is coming from Canada. And that is just untrue. And I don't say this as speculation. It's really important for me to mention that I have a source who I can't name, and so you can take it however you want. I mean, I don't really care. Completely legit source that specializes, he's law enforcement and specializes in organized crime and all of these criminal syndicates in Canada. And we talk regularly, and he tells me that maybe less than 1% is getting seized, but we certainly aren't contributing to less than 1% of the fentanyl in the U.S.
How did you cultivate that source? Are you
that source actually reached out to me
Interesting.
through a law enforcement person that I've interviewed on public record. So the person who I've spoken to on public record and named this person in reports put us in touch. So it's a complete legit person.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
when did that happen? When did he reach out?
Literally after I was on your podcast. Or after it aired.
Very cool.
Yeah, because it aired a little bit after we actually shot it.
Yeah. I held that one for like 2.5 months.
Too long, because then it was all dated by the time it came out.
Nah,
so
we were
you guys
okay.
need to stop shitting
We
on
were
me.
okay. Sometimes we you've seen it. Sometimes
We were
we
okay,
gotta
yeah.
film when people are in town, and then it's like I have one that's evergreen and then one that's got to get out right away.
Okay, I don't
and,
need the
you
whole
know.
spiel, Julian. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
It's,
I gotta explain
I accept
myself,
it. It's fine.
you know.
Anyways.
Women need an explanation. It's you know.
Just us? Have you? Okay, yeah. You're really going to start that right now? I didn't realize I got invited to Andrew Tate show.
Oh God, no.
Here we go again with
We're
this
not
shit.
like that here. We're not the,
Anyways,
the Tate pill.
On the fentanyl note, so they started making all this shit. And it was really simple for them because they have this open border and they have a lot of people who were looking for extra cash because the Canadian economy is just simply objectively not doing well and hasn't been since COVID, maybe even before that. I mean, you know, people can argue whatever they want. And so there were a lot of people who were willing to be mules. And also, along a lot of the Canadian border region, there are people who own light aircrafts. And yeah, so it made it very simple for them to fly across. Or if they had like a racer, like a 4x4, is that what you call it? Like a quadrimoto?
Yeah, like a quad.
Yeah, a quad. Yeah. I feel like Hilaria Baldwin be like, how do you...
I was born in Mexico.
How do you say cucumber in English? That's not what I'm doing. There's just so many ways to say that. A 4x4, right?
Man, I understand Alec Baldwin so much better since I've understood what she's up to.
Oh my God, poor guy.
Poor guy.
It's rough
She ain't
over
worth
there.
it.
I watched a little bit of the show and I was like, it looks like hell on earth. Hell no. Oh my God. Bury me alive instead. Anyways, so there's people who own light aircrafts. There's people who own 4x4s because it's a lot of like farmland and residential areas. And so a lot of these people are getting hired, and they're making to run like whatever the batch is, like a batch of fentanyl, however many pills were produced in like a batch that they want to traffic, upwards of $150,000. Yeah, Canadian. So that's like,
What's
I mean,
that,
you'd have
100K?
to, yeah, around 100,000. I think. I can't do the math off the top of my head. I'm a journalist.
It's all good.
So
Close enough.
anyways, they're making a shit ton of cash. They're operating basically under the radar because, like you said, what's Canada? Beers and hockey. So you wouldn't think that you have these regular schmegular people running $150,000 worth. Well, maybe not worth, but they're making $150,000 to run a full batch of fentanyl pills into the U.S. They're literally just driving across or flying across or riding across the border, or even in some cases walking across. In one of my episodes of the Dispatches, I literally went to an open border area where I'm standing there, and on one side I'm standing on Canadian grass, and right behind me you can literally just walk. There's a bit of a ditch, but you could just hop across and you're in the US. Like, it just so happened that I actually came across a CBP officer when I was there, which so funny because there's so many miles of
What are the chances?
But also any sort of oversight or monitoring that there is, at least from my observations, it's coming from the American side. And it's simply due to the fact that the Canadian law enforcement just doesn't have the resources to deal with it. I mean, okay, I say this time and time again, and we actually talked about this last time I was here. I have no faith in the Canadian justice system because they don't even have the capacity to deal with domestic crime. So how could we possibly expect them to deal with transnational organized crime?
What were you telling me outside before the podcast?
That
like
was
when
that was a dramatization, but certainly it's like. But you could like Google a case right now. Bring something up. Seriously, bring something up of like a violent sex offender who gets like a few months of probation and is back out in the community.
In Canada.
Yes, it's so
That's sick.
bad. I mean, people are committing violent crimes and walking free, and these are Canadian citizens, and it's.
Is that a recent, like in the last 10 years phenomenon?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
The government. Like it was the prime minister that we had and the way everything just kind of
Trudeau.
did. Yeah.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.